Welcome to the Behind the Brand. You're literally our first special guest. So, how do you feel?
Yeah, very honoured.
Yeah.
You guys, obviously, you've been doing stuff for a long time. You know, Nick, I know, introvert over at St. Mary's, and all of a sudden he's blowing up on, social media platforms. And it was just seeing one of his podcasts with Luke Della, the bro then, and I just thought, man, like where it started and where it is, it's pretty cool. It was during COVID. And with you, man, my man, appreciate it.
Got you, bro. Got you.
So we'll get into us later, but yeah, just reaching out. And I think because we all have that footy connection, we never made it. None of us played cup. You know, we didn't play first grade. We didn't play reserve grade.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were all aiming for something around that.
Yeah.
But it's the life lessons we took out of it. It's pretty cool. Like to know that we can all link up again. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks
keen,
for the opportunity, bro. I'm really appreciate it.
Bro, I'm keen, bro. And I'm also keen to get into this introduction. I know it's something I've been spicing it up about. But for the viewers and the listeners that are watching, let me introduce to you guys our very first special guest. So, as a rugby league player, our first guest has played for the Western Suburbs Magpies at a junior rep level, Canberra Raiders within the under-20s Holden Cup level, and Blacktown Workers, the Eagles, and St. Mary's Saints, just to name a few, clubs that he played for. Additionally, he has represented the country, or his country, in the 2017 Universities World Cup, playing for the inaugural Pacific Islands University team, which we're going to get in later on. He has a master's degree in teaching, over 10 years of experience in both physical education and coaching. Our first special guest is the director and owner of Steps to Success, S2S, Sports Australia. He is a director, owner, teacher, former rugby league player, now turned coach. But not only that, but he is a providing husband and a loving father. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Vi.
That was a very well thought through introduction. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
You don't have to cry, bro.
That's
Bro.
good.
So, yeah, talk to us, man.
Yeah, bro.
How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, man.
Yeah.
It's good to
How
be
you
here.
how you feeling? How's life going with Robert Vi?
It's going good. Just all about trying to lay good foundations with our programs. Just started the teaching year. And I always talk about, sometimes it's hard explaining it to the students, but, I come in really hard. And by hard, I mean I'm very hard on the finer details. It's about laying the foundation of a house. Put rubber and plastic and all that. You got to set the concrete. There can't be any cracks. And then after that, and I'll just say, what happens if you build a house and you start off with rubber and plastic and stuff? What happens to the rest of the house? I had someone yesterday, they're like, oh, it falls over. I'm like, that's right. We need to stand strong with what we need to do first. Everything else comes later.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually really enjoy this type of, this start to things, whether it's a program, whether it's a class I teach, whether it's something that I'm really trying to get the foundation right. I think it's super important because I'm huge on preparation.
Yeah.
I'm huge on that. Whether it's footy career or anything, that's all I was about. Because I thought that mattered more than, actually your actual talents.
Yeah.
Because that comes later. But yeah, it's good. Going really well at the moment, like I said, very sunburned. So, yeah.
Yeah, bro. Well, I'm keen to get into this podcast episode, but before we do, we're actually going to do an icebreaker, and I've called it the invisible thread. Have you heard about it?
Sounds
So there's this theory where it's like the invisible thread. It's like some Chinese theory, and pretty much what it is, it's like you're meant to meet each other, like the way that we met.
Yeah.
Right. We've met before, but we weren't meant to meet then. So there was some sort of connection that we had. It might be through some other players, or there might be a photo that showed us that we were in the same place at the same time, but we never knew each other.
Yeah.
All right. And so the way that's going to go, I'll just explain it quickly. So what I'll do is I'll put three photos up, and then you'll have to explain to me the connection that we had together based on the photo.
Cool.
But before you do share that, just explain to us what the photo is. So I've got 3 photos. Just explain to us what the photo is, and then just explain the connection that we had together. We'll pop it up. So this is photo number 1.
Okay. I can't see you there, but yeah, at the time we were versus. Oh, geez, who were we playing? We're at Windsor.
Yeah, we're at Windsor.
I would have been Australia.
Yeah.
We got a hiding then. We found out pretty quickly after our first couple wins that we had some talent in the team, but Australia just put the cleaner through us.
Yeah.
So yeah, there I am, just playing 5'8". Never played 5'8", other than in high school.
Yeah.
So good old Lino Salafai. the bro there and Tony Pulatua, they just put me there because no one else could do it.
Yeah.
And I was a bit reluctant.
That's true, bro.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's a lot of our Pacifica teams. Like with Tonga at the moment, we're thriving with some halves coming through and Samoa, exceptional halves. But yeah, it was tough. Like I didn't realize how tough it really was. I learned a lot about the game.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much me there. Passing a ball.
Yep, let's go number 2.
Was that you? Bro, wow. Far out, man.
So, Invisible Thread, where's our connection? Well, tell us the photo first.
Well, you're obviously taking a hit up. It looks like we're approaching good ball because I'm obviously trying to plan something because that's what our plan was. Fullbacks hanging around. Oh, there's Nate. Good old Nate.
Yo, at the back.
Leo Tinganga. Yeah, he was a great hooker.
Bro,
So
he was a gun.
he was the man. Came all the way out from Wollongong. Was really committed, but I can see you there. Yeah, you probably should get your bumper up.
Oh, here we go, bro. Here we go.
Yeah, your grip's a bit.
You gotta make sure your hands out, you know.
That's it, man. Hamburger. So yeah, you clearly haven't had a clean shave or anything, but the connection I could just see is that we were getting pumped, and it probably tells on our faces. We'll probably had our backs against the wall, like if that's a good analogy, because we were getting pumped.
Yeah.
Like I said, probably 3 times now. We just wanted to get in a good position to, and I think that's what helped us. That was a pivotal moment in that tournament. We had to cop that hiding to bring us together even more.
Wake up.
Yeah, because we were already brought together. A bunch of boys from Western Sydney, all from different Pacifica backgrounds. But what I see there, it's pretty cool. Like, just the fact that I've never actually had a proper conversation throughout that whole camp. And I spoke to you yesterday. Like, that was the best team in terms of, like, we talk about vibe, culture that I played in, and it lasted probably 2 months and a bit.
Yeah.
So,
but it's funny, bro. Like this photo, my purpose as to why I brought it up was because.
Did you score? No.
No, the funny thing is with this photo is that, like, when we were going to Central Coast together, and I actually had that conversation. Yeah, I played in the University World Cup, and you're like, oh, did you? And I was like, bro, as if this guy was surprised. And then I was like, bro, I got to find a photo. So I found a photo, and I thought the best time to do it was on this podcast. Was to bring it up and be like, yeah, bro, I did play.
No, all good, man. I see you
But
now.
the funny thing is, we didn't know each other.
Nah, not at all.
We didn't know each other the way that we know each other now, which is crazy.
Back then, that's crazy to think obviously we're on the phone for like a couple of hours yesterday.
Yeah.
To not even speaking in a team. Yeah. Didn't even know you from a bar of soap. I just knew you were Suli Ruka, really. And even then, like, I can't believe that was you because you had a brother too, Langi, as well. He played as well.
He played for the year.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's number 2. We'll move on to the number 3. And tell us this photo, bro.
That's my boy.
Yo.
Snotty boy.
Let's move over here.
Yeah, this was, man, honestly, this was, for my wife and I, it was such a special moment because things went pretty fast. Not like, the whole, like from the birth, my wife, from there, we had, a week in the hospital, and then I went back to work, and then we only had one break, off work together. And then she started running her own shop. And man, since then, in this photo, like we hadn't done something as like intimate as that. So like that was really good because I knew, at the time I could see like my wife was just really wanting photos of all of us together. She did this thing like an album where she'd get every month put together, but I just knew we had to do something like this. So when I seen on your platforms, I think I just started following you before.
Yeah, you followed like random out of nowhere. I was like, wait, what was I?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that you didn't have social back then.
Bro, I didn't have socials, so I just jumped on, started adding people, and I seen yourself, and I was like, oh, this guy does, photography. I'd love, and you started having packages.
Yeah.
And it all looked really new because you only had like 1 or 2 posts.
No.
And they were really good stuff. So I thought, I'm not just gonna reach out to any random. Like I'll just go with someone that's obviously in the same community that we grew up.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, it was crazy. We finally like saw each other, embraced, and then we went, did some photos, and man, it was awesome. Like we went to so many locations, and this was a local park for me. Like I've been around this place so many times, but the places we went, the time we had, it was prime time for the lighting.
Yeah, bro.
that was pretty
Especially
cool.
with like the back, the sunset.
Oh, the whole album, man. There was some photos I just look at and
Mm.
like, I guess you know, Nick could probably relate to. Like you just go like this, like,
Yeah.
oh, you know, is it as fluffy as it sounds? But really, it's just really nice because you want to make sure those things happen
Mm.
nice and early. Otherwise, people tell you enjoy these
Yep.
moments. You know, every time a parent says, "Oh, it will go so quick,"
Mm.
he's running now. Like back then, I had to carry him
Yeah.
around and like try and plot him somewhere and him not cry. But now it's just gone so fast. That's
Yeah.
probably like a couple months ago now, like what, 5 6 months,
Yeah.
and just the changes since then. So that was really special.
Mm.
He's got my ears, by the way. So he's a good listener. So yeah, that's how I remember it. Was such a good experience, and you were awesome. Yeah. To give you a plug, it was so easy to get those types of photos. So yeah,
Mm.
thanks for bringing it up there. That's us.
Nah, it's all good, bro. It's all good. It's funny because like the main reason I wanted to bring this like icebreaker up is just to like acknowledge the relationship that we have. But it's
Yeah.
more so just understanding that you might meet each other like randomly. You might like let's say playing footy or stuff. You might go
Yeah.
against each other. But realistically speaking, it may not be the right time that you guys connect. But like over time, you never know. There might be one of the closest guys around you. So
100%.
yeah, definitely wanted to just kind of bring it up. Kind of break the ice before we get into the main part of the podcast.
Yeah.
So just want to talk a bit about the behind the brand. So our main mission is just to literally go around Western Sydney and get as much businesses within Western Sydney and not just support them, but actually give them a platform to share their story, but also look at doing some work with them. And so our purpose on getting you on here is to be obviously our first special guest, but we also want to get into like the business and what you do behind the scenes. But also give the listeners an opportunity to hear what actually happens behind the scenes. Because, if you look on social media, we only show to them at least 10% or 20% of what really goes around in the background. So I'm keen to get into that. But how did you find the icebreaker? How was that for you?
I thought it was really nice. Yeah. I just see how quick things change. From 2017, we just went. It's 2023, and those two photos is like pretty cool.
Yeah.
To see how quick it's just transformed.
Mm.
Oh, it was good, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Especially
Definitely
that,
gonna do it.
like not even knowing you back then.
Mm.
Like, I just remember seeing you around with your big backpack, and then yeah, bro, it was so quiet then.
Yeah.
And then after our conversation yesterday about you versus then versus now,
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing. It's pretty crazy. We both transformed,
Mm.
and then we've just somehow linked up. And I'm just finding at the moment, like, it's, other than yourself,
Yeah.
so many boys from footy. It's just that full circle, like, and then that connection's so strong. I just think people don't understand the value of like, you go to war with someone, you go to battle with someone, and then later on, they're the same guy that you have those, I won't say battle scars and have disrespect to those who actually do have battle scars. But yeah, you have those moments where you're like, hey man, I did a 1.2 with you. Hey man, you're like, oh, we lost that game together. Or it's just all those moments, man.
Yeah.
So I think it was pretty cool where we ended up now.
Grateful, man. Grateful. So, yeah, we're just gonna move towards getting to know not just who you are, but what you do behind the scene. Obviously, there's a T-shirt that you're currently wearing right now that has the logo on it. But for those out there that are probably listening to this and they're not watching the video, let's have a chat about the journey with your business, which is S2S Sports Australia. So, for those out there that don't know what it is, would you like to explain what S2S Sports Australia is?
Yeah. In essence, we're a group that tries to help people at any level that they are, specifically in their rugby league, just take that next step. Taking that next step could look like something completely different to 10 different people. Whether they're all playing at a rep level or they're all starting off for the first time, I think what we stand for is just pushing to try and help them go to that next level by taking the next step. It's... everyone talks about goal setting and talks about being, like mindful, and we've got to focus on the here and now. Where are you now? And where is your next step? What direction are you taking? How are you going to get there? And we do it through coaching rugby league. Being someone that's had, played in the junior rep system and was contracted at a young age, like I've been there in that route. Did I make NRL? No. I'm not going to train an NRL player. I'll train someone wanting to be going towards NRLW or NRL, and I want to help them because I know what's required. And that's really what I specialize in. I use my teaching background as, I guess, the foundation of how I approach my coaching.
Yeah.
And I just, try and give a holistic approach, not just, get stronger at this or get faster at this. It's the whole range. How can we connect all those dots so that they can see it clearly?
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So what's the issue behind it? So how did it all start?
Well, I started, getting into coaching. I was at Tonga, New South Wales, working with Dave. Dave was the head coach there. I was assistant, and he was incredible to learn from. And at the same time, I'd started coaching with Lee Addison. So Lee Addison is known for the rugby league coach who had pretty much been one of the first in the world to do rugby league resources online back, I think, 2018 or 19. So from there, I was working alongside him. He was my old teacher at St. Greg's when I was in year 12. I just reached out to him. He got me to come on to one of his clinics. I just seen how he coached. Yeah. Now, from seeing all the coaches I grew up with and seeing a coach that was a teacher, I was shocked because, all the things that I learned, I wasn't really taught, or you just got, yelled at and you go, yes, sir. And then you just do it. But I learned and got taken under his wing. Did a bit of coaching over at Hill Sports. And then I just thought, you know what, once I got a job after Hill Sports, going from, a sports high school, I got a permanent job somewhere else. I couldn't say no to because obviously family and stuff like that. It pushed me to want to pursue something where I could do something I was extremely passionate about. And I looked at all the teachers and staff members I worked at schools with that had pretty much 2 jobs and was working, around the clock. They inspired me. Scott Jones is one of them. Teki Tupolotu is another guy. These were guys, Dave Ramis, he had a basketball company and he was also a teacher. I just thought, man, I see myself doing something like that. Yeah. And that spurred me on to want to start something. When Lee Addison was selling his business, he helped me start something with S2S. Initially, it was like multi-sports. And I took over and then I thought, okay, we'll just run multi-sports. And I just couldn't help it. I had to do rugby league. There was no way around it. And so that evolved from, multi-sports and a bit of rugby league to a female rugby league provider. Like we are solely female rugby league provider in terms of our programs, but I still, there's boys that I do coach here and there, and I still offer that service in very small amounts. But the reason why it started was because I knew I could do it. I knew it was possible. I just didn't really know how. I knew I had the drive, I had the potential. I loved coaching. I had an obsession of learning. I just knew I wasn't going to waste that. Whether it was volleyball or basketball or soccer, as a teacher, I'd learn the hell out of it. I didn't care. And I thought that, if I was this passionate to be a teacher and coaching the kids, rather than a teacher that gave them the ball and said, go play, which frustrates me, because there's the ones that miss out, it pisses me off. Everyone's got to have some step they've got to succeed in. And that's essentially where, I built this passion and drive around, I've got to do something. When it comes back to the girls rugby league, so that all started, if you want me to go into that.
Yeah.
So girls rugby league for me started, pre-COVID, quite a while back. I was at a school in Southwest Sydney called Ashcroft. I went to that school as a student. So I went from there year 7 to 10 before I got signed by Tigers, and then I went to St. Greg's 11 and 12. I had a special place for, Ashcroft. And at the time, I was playing at Ron Massey at Blacktown Workers. We had a New South Wales Cup trial against Para at Winnie. I did my ACL, in the last 5 minutes of the game. So then how this led to me getting into coaching, someone, they wanted someone to help out with the girls coaching. And these girls, the program obviously wasn't a full-on heavy program. I just put my hand up and said, yeah, sweet, I'll do it, I'll run it. And I knew if I was going to do something like this, I was going to go absolutely all out. And then from there, what I realised quickly, in crutches with torn ACL and a chip bone and I was limping everywhere, it was hard. Like, it was so hard to try and explain how to do certain skills in rugby league verbally. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I had to get one of the boys from, one of the students to come to our girls session to be my explainer. And he was keen to jump on board. And I'd tell him before chat, you do this, do this, do this. It was sweet. And then when we showed the girls, I tried to verbally explain it. And to be fair, it was very difficult because I didn't realise the assumptions I had around those skills and around rugby league and around skill instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, we had 30 girls rocking up, 7 a.m. morning trainings. We had breakfast club, we had PCYC. So this started to build that idea, that foundation. I knew this is something I want to go towards. Like, I have the potential capacity. Anyways, I went from there, went over to Hill Sports, was involved in the girls program and seeing the parallels between the two. They all had potential, except one had a little bit more talent.
Yep.
When I say a little bit, with all due respect, they had more talent, but they had the resources. They had a gym, they had full-time trainers and coaches. And I thought what I offered to these girls over at Ashcroft, I just thought, it's all about availability, resources and whatnot. Anyways, go down the track. I coach more in the girls' game, and it starts ticking. Like another quick story.
Yep.
My little sister, she never really played sports through school. She played. Her name's Lola. She played rugby union at school, and they called her Lola the Steamroller. She had
Really?
she had the Tongan genetics.
Yeah.
Like, she was solid. And then she wanted to get into rugby league, but she had a really bad experience because she wasn't really coached well, but she wasn't anywhere near like any of the other girls. So she needed a bit of attention to detail. Then she went into gridiron, and bro, she ended up playing for New South Wales.
That's crazy, bro.
She made the New South Wales side. Had a left foot fracture, came back, right foot fracture, exact same thing, and she stopped playing. So for me, that also spurred me on to think, number one, availability and resources are crucial. Number two, if I'm ever to have something where someone misses out on an opportunity, the way my sister did, who knows? She could have been playing for Australia by now. You never know. But she had the potential and no one was able to bring it out of her. And I just thought, doing this because I have two sisters and, no brothers, I just think that every girl that wants to play footy, I just hope that they get taught well. A lot of parents and coaches out there, they're very, very dedicated, because they're working around the clock. And I feel sorry for these parents. They've got to go to work and they've got to come home and then they've got to coach a whole bunch of kids without any experience. Some do. So my hat goes off to them. Yeah. But what I provide is specialised. What we do is specialised. So yeah, basically in that whole realm of things, in a lot of ways, that sums up where I started and how it got to S2S and the why behind it, why I'm so driven and passionate to specialise in girls rugby league. It's because, it's not a whole lot of availability. And also I knew that my teaching style really suited. It also suits the boys, but, I'm not going to be the one in the dressing sheds taking those boys to the grand final because there's a whole nother, set of coaches that specialise in that. Me, I specialise in getting you to understand the skill, understand how to understand the game, become a thinking player. I'm not going to motivate the hell out of you. That's just not what I like. I can do it, but there's people that are better than that do that, and they're probably in the boys' game because they're really, really good at that, as well as their other skills. But I thought, this is a niche area and no one else is doing it. They deserve it. I'll just do it. So that's, pretty much what got me to specialise in that area.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I look at, from a business perspective, one thing they talk about is when it comes to looking at audience or your target market or your clients, you want to look at a growing market. Yeah. And the crazy thing about the women game or the female game in rugby league, it is growing. And so that is another great thing about S2S and how they're transitioning and focusing more so on the rugby league aspects of the female game. Because it's a growing market. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I wanted to correct you on something, and I try not to jump out and do this with parents.
Go ahead.
But when people say it's growing, it's always been growing. It's just that what's growing is the attention.
Yeah.
People's
the
eyeballs.
fact that you know that it's actually out there.
For example, with netball, there's so many parents, especially from our Pacifica community, who are taking them from netball over to league because they can see a lot of those girls in netball, they have those physical skills to be something elite because they're elite in that sport already. But on top of that, like, you know, a lot of the Pacifica girls, they have things like the strength, the power, you know, and then they go over to league. But it's just the fact that it's happening a bit more often now. Girls are wanting to play a bit more often. They want to go from Oztag to league. So to say that it's growing, yeah, it's always growing. It has been growing for a while, but I think the major thing is that there's a lot more attention to it. I think a lot's got to do with social media, but the trailblazers of the game as well, like your Millie Boyles, Isabel Kellys, all those, you know, you talk about the very first, you know, who's Tasha Gale? I did my research on her.
Yeah.
She had like one of her interviews she did. She spoke about she was literally in a bar and then she'd get paid to tackle someone in the bar. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
And she'd use that money to, I think, to fund, you know, towards actually doing things in rugby league. So correct me if I'm wrong with all those specific details, but it just shocked me. I'm like, man, to see where it is now, like you know, the game itself is in a really good place. But for me, rugby league is an incredible game, but it can be incredibly hard to learn the individual skills. Everyone says it's a simple game once you learn the skills.
Yeah.
If you don't know it well, if you don't know how to function well in the game, strength, you know, conditioning and things, and put it all together, it's quite hard. But to go back to your point, is it growing? I'd say it's yeah, I'd have to get data to back that up, but I think it's been growing for a while, just the attention.
Yeah. I love that. I love the way that you correct me on that, because I the way I'd seen it was that it was and still is a market that's growing. I love that you corrected and said, it's already been growing. And I know that too myself, because my little sister, so my little sister's playing in the Tasha Gale competition. And I remember back then when she was playing, like when she was young, but she was playing with boys.
Yeah.
Right. And that's usually the way it goes when it comes to like the girls growing up. They usually play with the boys. And then after that, it transitions into, you know, back then, there wasn't really like an under 14s, under 16s, under 18s girls. I think there was only like an opens, like, you know, team. And then I think they had like a first grade, like women's comp, but they didn't have like an actual pathways for the women's. But now they do.
Now they do.
Yeah.
Like you see, there's a few players that have gone from soccer. They were playing, I think they were playing at the elite level over there, either Matildas or close to, and they made the switch over later when they were women, like they were over 18. Katrina Fippen, who's another player that I speak of, she was, I think, 17 until she played her first ever game of tackle rugby league. She didn't even play with boys when she was younger. She just did not play. So what does that say back then? Maybe, you know, the acceptance around females in sport has grown a lot, Maybe how rugby league was promoted to the girls' community. You know, Oztag has probably exploded in terms of growth. Oztag has always been on a big growth, like incline, and girls, I guess that's the way in. We used to be like Oztag, then they'd try league. Some would do touch, heavily in touch, then league. Now some girls are just going from netball to league.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty interesting, right? You have some girls out there who are now at that stage where they've been playing with their boys for most of their teenage, like, I wouldn't say teenage years. They've been playing with boys up until the age of about 12. Aliyah Nasir is the best example. And when she runs at boys, like when she was in our squad, we were versing the Windsor Wolves 17s in a bit of like a scrimmage, like a ball work session. It was full on tackle and she was bumping them off, putting hits on. But she was not scared.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we can get, you know, female only, like full female comps, more people playing the game. It's just got to have a lot of more resources to facilitate the girls wanting to play, because it can be dangerous and it can be really not that fun if you're getting yourself hurt and, you know, you're dropping the ball every 5 seconds and, you know.
The skills not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just even play basic.
100%. But like someone like your sister, she went from rugby union, you know. I think rugby union's doing great as well in the female space. Like a lot of the people I know that are in those, like specifically female spaces, they're getting a lot of growth.
Yeah.
And they're producing some, you know, really good players, really good athletes. So it's good on both ends. You know, women's sport, look at the Jillaroos. sorry, Gillaroos, look at the Matildas, you know, exploded.
Yeah.
Another thing, but people are getting on the back of it. But we're just going to make sure it's, you know, properly sustained and it's properly given the foundations rather than just say, yeah, you know, women's sport. Like, we got to really build it up so that it's strong enough to maintain the test of time. But yeah, it's just positive to see it's going in a good direction.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, you know, I'll just go back to what you're talking about in terms of, you know, the growing market of the game and knowing that it's already been growing. I love that you mentioned that it's the fact that people are starting to know. The attention is now starting to spark. How important do you see, you know, attention being utilized in terms of like your marketing, the marketing side of S2S? So if you go back to what you're doing now, obviously you got the business side, but you also got the marketing side, and so. Looking through that, you know, the growing side of like the game, like how do you see the like the marketing side and just the way I'm seeing it is like the advertising side, like because you that's something that you've been working around on your social media page, right, to get some attention with the game.
Yeah. So you mean in terms of private providers, like
Yeah,
what we do?
yeah. Because you got to think about it, right? No one ever knew S2S unless there was something that they were using or something that you guys were using in terms of platform or promotion. Or how did that go around? How did S2S come about in terms of doing
So
what
how
you're
was
doing
our
now?
how was our sort of advertisement journey?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
getting our brand out there. Yeah,
Because
good.
like I think about, because to me personally, I didn't know what S2S was until you told me. It's funny enough that after that session, you asked me, oh, we got this you know, this come and try day over at Moorebank.
Yeah.
And then that's when you're like, oh, is there any chance you can do some work? And I'm like, yeah, sweet, I'll come down. But I didn't really know what S2S was until I followed your page. So, like, the purpose as to why I was asking you this question is because in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, there's a growing market, but the problem is that there wasn't, or you already told me that it was already growing.
Yeah.
The only thing is I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, how important is that in terms of the market growing? Is the fact that, well, my point I'm trying to share is that you've got to know, or there has to be some sort of attention grabbing coming into your mind. So I wanted to look at that in terms of S2S and how that's come about. Because I'm thinking about S2S when I came at the start, it was considered a multi-sport,
Yeah.
you know, and now it's like there's girls out there that are looking at it like, oh, this is like the next big thing. I want to get involved.
Yeah.
Whether it's a come and try day or whether it comes to the preseason programs. And so how important is that from a business perspective in terms of getting yourself out there with the marketing and the advertising?
Yeah, it's definitely just
That's what I was trying to go through.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean now because you know, where we started and versus where we are now, I have some, you know, like parents they go, hey, you the S2S guy, eh? And I'm like, yeah, oh, just look at my shirt. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's me. A lot of it comes down to things on social media, how it just like gets shared. People know people, sometimes word of mouth. So basically where it started was that, you know, being a PE teacher and so passionate about just getting kids playing, but not just here's a ball, go play. It's like literally purposeful play. You know, how we design our sessions, whether it's coaching rugby league for a preseason program, whether it's a come and try day, whether it's a multi-sports day.
Yeah.
I just knew I had to get the word out there that this is intentional, everything we do. And by that, by that note, it just started off with the Blue Mountains. Like that was my very first one.
Yeah.
So I started off with a banner on the bridge. Started off with like a few flyers in coffee shops. My wife's coffee shop.
So you hustled, bro, in terms of like going out there, finding every opportunity to get some attention or get some marketing in.
Yeah,
Because, you know, I'll be honest, bro, I've never done that. Like, I've never done the, you know, get the flyers out and look at every way possible to share my brand.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're doing that, bro, that's so crazy. So looking into that, yeah, continue on, sorry, continue story.
Nah, so like, that's pretty much how it was. I was like on
Pretty
the
much
floor, hands on, you know, trying to, you've got something that you think is the best thing in the world. Like, you know that people have children that will benefit.
Yeah.
But there's a certain line you can't cross because at the end of the day, if they don't know about it, if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it, and that's all right. But it's that whole journey of going across, all right, coming up with a plan. And that's why with Lee Addison, he was obviously a big part of helping start off something like a business to be able to give me a lot of tips and strategies. And he ran a thing called Special Ops Socials. He gave us a bit of a plan to follow by, or he helped me and coached me through that. And then it was just about trying to come up with, okay, how do we go from the social media side? How do we go with contacting, organizations and things like that?
Yeah.
Then we had a pivot. So it was a pivotal moment. And that was, I'm pretty sure that was Liverpool. So because I had a few kids I was coaching, while I was running my multi-sports programs, like our Blue Mountains one had about 50 kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, sweet, this is awesome. And while I was doing a bit of coaching on the side with rugby league, I noticed that, once I coached Tonga, I was speaking to one of the parents who just kept saying, like, Rob, like, if you want to do this, you need to do it. Because I had the idea. I thought to myself, if I go down coaching and doing rugby league, it'd be something I'd always want to do. It'd be the best thing in the world. Like, I just knew I had to go from an angle that was specific. And I just knew I just had to go into the girls' rugby league because they needed it. And, a lot of the girls that I coached, I had really great conversations with their parents after that. And they just had the suggestion too, and they pushed me towards it. One particular parent, she was amazing. She was like, just go and do it. Like, what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
You need to do it. You're suited for it. And then I did a big come and try day in Liverpool, and just promoting it, social media. And to be honest, it didn't get a lot of catch. Like, to start off, it wasn't a whole lot of people that were interested. Because you think about it, like, we want to boost the numbers in the game. I was so adamant that every parent had to know about it before they made a decision. Like, I really wanted to put the word out there and really try and work as hard as I could. So it was just a lot of talking to a lot of people at clubs, trying to share it as much as I could.
Yeah.
And then we didn't get a lot. I remember that day we didn't get a whole lot of numbers. But, Ruben Charrington came out that day and she was like full playing with the kids, and like some of these girls that were so young, they probably wouldn't even know who she was. But man, she like played for Australian Prime Ministers. She played for Parramatta Eels. Like, we also had like Alia Nasiol, and she was obviously an up and coming rooster.
Yep.
And we did our best to put on the best day for those very few girls that came, and we thought it was a great day.
Yeah.
And then following that, like, it just became this. We got on Channel 9 and things like that as well. They came out. And from there it just grew. Like, I just started running programs, started, training like small groups at a club. And then we just thought, man, this is something cool. And then did a come and try day out at Emu Plains.
Bro, that was big numbers.
Mate, we talk about the numbers at Liverpool.
Yeah.
We had 60 girls there, about 75 registered, but to see the difference in such a short amount of time, we're talking about like 2 months. It was not even less.
Yeah.
We went from that to that. I just persisted, and I knew like this needs to be something that is available. It needs to be something accessible. Now from there, it really spurred me into thinking, all right, I'm Western Sydney. I was born and raised. I'm based here in Western Sydney. I need to think, what's the strategy? And then I went ahead with, okay, Penrith, Liverpool, Campbelltown. You've got West Tigers, Parramatta Eels, Penrith, and a bit of the Bulldogs. They're all border in those areas. One day, if there happens to be, like, they're all the catchment areas where rugby league's played, basically.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to target those areas. So then it became, we've got a pre-season program.
Yeah.
I want to solely focus on 4 weeks of building strong fundamentals and also, strength conditioning, whatever, like speed, agility. And I just thought, we need to do this. Started promoting it, and it got a lot of traction. Yeah. Especially Penrith. That was huge. I'm not saying...
They ended up selling out, right?
Sold out. It sold out, and I had parents pretty much like saying, can you fit my girl in? Can you fit her? I'm like... I would coach 100 kids if I had to. Like, I literally am that passionate about coaching, but the quality wouldn't be there. I want to make sure that they get as much effect as they can and as much out of it as possible. So going back to the promotion side of things, I just knew that wouldn't it be great to have our current crop of female stars who are the clear role models of what it takes to be able to get to that top level? Because, I think obviously the female connection as well, that would have been great. I just thought, let's get them on board. I had Mahalia Murphy.
Yep.
She came to our Come and Try Day. She was amazing. So we got her to jump on board.
Yep. With
our Penrith program. We had a girl named Jade Funua, who we both know, Johnny Funua.
Yeah.
I reached out to her. She was super keen. And then I reached out to Rima Butler. I played with her brother.
Connections,
We'll come back to connections with footy. Footy's a very small circle. Everyone knows everyone. You can't be playing rugby league unless you know him. Back in our day, people know your name off the bat. So I just knew those, especially those two that I knew growing up. And Mahalia was, incredible around the girls over at the other camp, the other Come and Try Day we did. So I just thought use, obviously their platforms to be able to help inspire these younger ones. And then that became all three programs had, current, I guess, stars for the girls to build that ambition as well. And that, I think that had a lot of help as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to mention as well, another female athlete called Kahu Cassidy. She played in the Māori All-Stars. She was at the Campbelltown program with Rima.
Yeah, nice.
So that in terms of your question is around that.
Yeah.
A bit of advertising as well on social media and just working off the strategy I worked with Lee.
I think too, when it comes to like bringing it back to like your brand, S2S, and the business side of things, I think it's really important to actually go out there and show what you're doing, because 9 times out of 10 people just don't know. People just don't know that S2S exists. And if there was no such thing as social media, you'd have to do the word of mouth. You have to go out there and hand out flyers. You have to go to schools but how crazy is social media nowadays, where you can just put on like on your phone. Like we can be recording this right now. I can record on my phone right now, post it up, and be able to advertise or market what I'm doing or what we're doing nowadays. So I think going back to what the purpose of why I was asking that question is that like it's so crazy how there's businesses out there that are utilizing social media or utilizing sort of strategy to get their name out there. But then it brings you back to when you were talking about how the market's already growing. It's already been growing in the game. And I think the problem that I've noticed is the fact that they just don't know. And it's great what you're doing, bro. And it's great what SOS is going to be, because you're already setting a platform out there to expose what's really happening on the field. Going through your preseason programs, doing the Come and Try days, and especially getting the women that are already playing up in the high elite level, bringing them down to be ambassadors, or even just going out there to connect with the girls. Like you're literally being the bridge. How do you feel about that? What I just said?
Yeah,
it's crazy, bro. Just to even just say it out. I know that you're thinking about it. I know that you're in the hustle, and you're actually growing, your own business. But how does it feel knowing that that's exactly what you're doing?
Well, like playing with some of the boys, going through Ron Massey and all that, to see them reach out and say, love what you're doing, oh, that's awesome, what you're doing. These aren't even females. These are males. These are guys you played with in a whole completely separate field that I could just see that, needs to be accessible, needs to be available. And for me, it's not about the kudos. Like, we spoke about that TikTok video.
Yeah.
So there was a TikTok video that went pretty much like viral. Like, it got 200,000 views within a matter of... Yeah, it's up to 200,000
really?
now. Man, it was 100,000.
Yeah, the last time we had a conversation, it was 100K.
Yeah. So honestly, like, just seeing things like that happen, it doesn't flatter me. It doesn't get me G'd up about people seeing it, like views and likes and comments. What I feel mostly proud about is the fact that I've been doing it for the last decade.
Yeah.
Every single day. I put my best effort in for those kids because, man, it's crazy. Like, I wanted to be an NRL player growing up. A lot of the reason, this sounds a bit cheesy, but I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be the one people looked up to. And now that I get to live that dream, like I can honestly say, before I even did S2S, becoming a teacher, I lived that dream. Like, seriously, kids come to me for answers. They want advice from me. Like, I have to be on my best game to be able to give them what they need at the time. And, you know, to know that things go viral and, you know, people noticing and paying attention to the things that I've been doing, that ever since I was younger, I always wanted to inspire and be that person who they can rely on, be the role model. Like, it's just something that I want to do even better. I want to go next level. You know, what that looks like, it's just going back to a plan. But yeah, I just think if you've done something for so long and you've worked extremely hard at it, you know, when people notice it, well, they should notice it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. But I want to go above and beyond. I want to go next level. You know, I want people to know that that's who I am.
Yeah.
S2S isn't just a brand. Like, S2S isn't just a program. I've literally carved out things based on life experience, reading copious amount of books. Like, did you know there's not a lot of books around coaching rugby league?
Really?
The best coaching book I ever read was a book on soccer. The best coaching book I ever read.
Yeah.
It was written by a teacher. It's called The Teacher's Guide to Coaching. So there was that. There was a book on language, how to, you know, effectively say things when you're coaching, like to be efficient. There was a coach on body language, like not coach on body language. There was a book on body language. You know, I always sat in the classrooms of the best teachers, and I know they're the best teachers because they're working at the hardest schools.
Yeah.
And all these things, I sat with school counselors. I sat with this, you know, the speech pathologist, the occupational therapist. How do I do this better?
Yeah.
I'd let them sit in my class, rip the hell out of it with feedback. And if they gave me so many like points and I wasn't getting any, I guess, if it was just a big praise, I'd be like, but what did you see?
Yeah.
Like and it's hard to ask people that, which is why blokes like yourself, Ned, like, you know, you have that connection, because if you're aligned with someone who wants to, is obsessed with improving, they just become the norm around your conversations. Like, we were in the car park yesterday. We just said, all right, just start with one positive, whatever. And we're all right, let's dig in. Let's really look at how this could have been better. And mate, we could have said that was a great day and stuff, but what we came out of that conversation with, mate, the next time we do something again, anywhere remotely similar, it's gonna fly. But
To be better.
it's gonna be way better. No preparation. That's the main one. So, nah, man. Like, in terms of how I feel like there's another level. Like, I want to go that next level.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I'm just pumped because, like I said, I live and breathe this. I could do this for the rest of my life.
Just something that you can do for free.
Yeah.
As in, like, if there was something I could do for free
For the rest
for
of
the
my
rest of your life.
I'll do it.
It's actually a video I put up recently.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if you want to do something in terms of your career, it's like, if it's something that you can do for free and that will make you happy, there's your career out there. And I feel like that's definitely with the route that you're going in terms of S2S, and you know what you're doing with the women's game and the coming tries. And it's funny because like I'm only saying this because I'm actually a part of it. Like, I'm literally been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, doing all your videography of your photo stuff, and couldn't be grateful enough, man, to be a part of it. Got you, bro. Got you. But I just wanted to touch base quickly, bro. Like, going based on, you know, we've spoken about, you know, S2S. I think people got a real big context as to what S2S is, and you know what you've gone through, your story. But I wanted to look back on you being the director, right? You being the owner of S2S. We've spoken a bit about the coaching side of things and your passion behind you coaching and being in the business. But in terms of on the business, man, what's been some of the, what's been some of the lessons that you've learned, at least, you know, going through this? Because this isn't just some sort of like charitable, you know, thing that you're doing. It's actually something that is a business. And so what is, you know, some lessons that you learned along the way since you've been doing S2S from a business standpoint?
Probably the biggest thing is, like, the first and foremost I think of when I think business and how it all started, where it is, you can't do everything.
Yeah. You can't be a jack of all trades.
You can't. And it's not a matter of, like, are you good enough for everything? You can't stretch yourself that far when it comes to business, because it's very, it's very intricate. There are a lot of parts to being able to establish something in the first place, where you quickly realize you want to do these incredible ideas. You have these great things you want to do that's going to help. Of course, everything's going to help. Mate, if we had all the time in the world, we'd be running the best businesses ever.
Yeah.
You can't do everything. How are you gonna sustain it? So for me, I think I realized that because I just wanted to do all the social media side of things, or I'd tell my wife, come and take
Some videos, some
photos, and just getting all these things together. Like as you know, I really really enjoy video editing, but more of an educational perspective from a visual standpoint. To make things clear and explicit. But yeah, that's probably one thing. Like, you got to divvy things up. Like, divvy things up as in split it up, and you've got to know what you can do now. And I learned this from footy coaching. Ben Harden said, win. What's important now? And that's it's cracker, isn't it? Because
write that down, Nicky.
you want to do everything right now.
That's true, bro.
But you've really got to compartmentalize what is the most important thing. Because if you've got 10 things you want to do, not all of them are going to be the make or break. There's that one thing you need to get done. Absolute must.
Win.
It's about when. Like, when are you going to do the other things?
Yep.
I think I realized that. But it's like, I think having your prior experience, you got to be straight up with yourself. It reveals a lot about character. If you're someone that's walking off the street, never played sport, never done anything difficult, sport's not difficult. It's the challenges you go through that are difficult. But we can both relate, the three of us in this room. We know that it's actually life lessons you take on, and you adapt and apply that to what you're doing in business. But I think you honestly have to have a real character check of yourself. And I had to do that. And there were some things I got a pretty big shock. I was like, sweet, I can't do that. Like, for instance, sometimes you have to stay up late. Like, mate, I was training full-time, university full-time, and I was working almost full-time.
Yeah.
All at the same time, and I could juggle it. Things I could do now, I know I've had that, not scar tissue, but I have that prior experience.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. You don't know your limits unless you test your limits, but you can't just go ahead and think you're going to break through every single barrier in life. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, just knowing where you're at and where there's that fine line between, what you can do and what you want to do. That's ability. So you got to know pretty much where your limit is.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Bro, this actually brought a spark in my mind about, and it's something that all three of us can relate to. Yeah, Nikki? And it's the ability when it comes to playing sports at a younger age and how that can actually incorporate, and it's very similar to running a business. For example, resilience, right? When you drop the ball, right, when you're running the ball and you drop the ball, how quickly can you bounce back? The same thing when it comes to business. Like, me and Nikki can relate because we're always doing work together.
And you always drop the ball.
Yeah. We dropped the ball. Well, you got me there already. But we've gone through moments where we've done, connected with clients. And, we've done sweet, we're going to do the payment plan and all that stuff. And then guess what do they do?
You tell me.
Bro, they end up just, sorry. Like, they find some sort of excuse just to, go away, which we highly respect. It is what it is. We understand the business game. But there's a bit of resilience where you have to bounce back and, all right, sweet. Like, what's next? What's the next thing you're going to focus on? But there's a bit of scar tissue there. Like, I know there's some clients that I worked with, and I'm like, you put all your heart and soul in, into doing the work, from a business standpoint, and then I don't know where they can easily go away. But that's the one thing I love about rugby league, how there's so much things that we've learned on the field that you can actually take it out and apply into your business, in your business. And I think there's a lot of rugby league players that are underutilizing themselves in terms of their brand. Like, if you look at NRL, if you look at NRW, they don't realize how much resources they can put out there, whether it's business or whether it's, being a social media influencer, working with brands. And so, it just came into my mind, as you were talking about that, how rugby league, you playing as a rugby league player and then going into coaching, how that actually connects into your business. And so I love the fact that you were sharing that in terms of what you were going through, especially with the time management too. Like, you know, you going to school, you know, you working, you going to uni. Like, there's so many people out there that could use that as an excuse to be like, oh, I can't do it. But you tested your levels and you went out there and said, oh, I won't know my limits unless I go, you know, through that. And so I love the fact that you were sharing that in terms of your business. Yeah, sorry, you want to go?
No, because it just sparks my mind. Like,
Go ahead, brother.
it doesn't matter how good you are at something. Sorry, no. Let me say that again. It doesn't matter how hard you work at something. It doesn't matter. You've got to get the reality straight. There's going to be a cap at some point.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how hard you work. You could work till your eyes bleed, till your fingers bleed. And I learned that in sport. I learned that in sport. Like, it's, you know, thinking you're a prodigy at a young age, and then all of a sudden you work your absolute butt off. You know you're working harder than anyone else. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I still remember a conversation I had with Garth Brennan, and I'll take this into today. Garth Brennan is now, he was once upon a time the coach at Gold Coast Titans. I was a Sydney Shield player. I was like pretty much 3rd, 4th grade. I got an opportunity to go up and train with Cup in 2017, I think somewhere back then. That was a privilege. And he pretty much said, like, you need to go back to Shield. You train there. And I felt like I had there was everything there. You know, I was like, this is amazing. And when he told me that, man, it broke me like pretty quickly. Not completely. I just thought, but I had that conversation with him, and he was great. I said, oh, I train hard. Like, I live for this. It sounded so stupid. Like, who am I to speak like that? And he just said, he was really good. Mate, I get it, mate. You just need to go work back at that level. So, you know, off you go back to Shield. Yeah. And I went to Shield. I'll never forget that, because it doesn't matter how hard you work. You gotta understand the reality of things. And I take that in today that, you know, there's going to be areas where I think I am trying my absolute best, you know, and I know what I'm about. I'm as honest as they come. I'm really, you know, you want to tell people you're a good person. Mate, you got to prove it. Yeah. And sometimes people turn around and then they'll say, yeah, no, it's all good. And then to you got to take that on the chin. Like, if you want to run a business, mate, this isn't a handout. If you're going to ask for favors, like, you got to be real with yourself. If you really want this, expect things to get thrown at you. Yeah. And it's with no disrespect, like saying people are going to be negative towards you. Things might not happen, no matter how hard you work and no matter who you are as a person. You just got to learn how to roll with the punches. Punches as in things that don't go your way. So yeah, I think that was something that I'll make that big connection with. And that's a key learning I took out of what I took from footy to this. Yeah. What I take out of what business means and what, you know, life is about. It's just, man, it doesn't matter. But are you going to let that deter you to say, oh, well, am I going to work hard? Like, should I work hard? Well, that's a test of your character. Are you going to roll with the punches and be resilient and build that level? Anyways, that's concept. Yeah. But
yeah, you actually sparked something in my mind about it's something that I went through myself in terms of my business journey. I used to think to myself, you have to like work harder or work hard, you know, to get the results. But let's be real, like when it comes to business, it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. Or it's more about not trying to be the end all be all. Or when you were talking about the start in terms of what you learned about business, which is you can't do everything. It's about how can you get the smartest people to do those things. So it might be, let's say, you know, as you start, you know, branching and started making like, or for me, it'll be like a media company. How can I get the smartest, you know, chief executive, like marketing, you know, person in? Because what that does is it kind of gets everything out of your mind and it gets you to delegate that outside. But yeah, going back to the working harder versus working smarter thing, that really sparked my mind because there are so many people out there that are doing business and they're thinking to themselves, you know, they're entrepreneurs, right? For example, they're like, you know, I'm going to be working hard. I'm going to do this morning routine. I'm going to do all this stuff. But the results are showing otherwise. You know, they're not producing the results. They're not getting the clients. And the reason why is because they're not focusing on the business. They're trying to be inside the business, and they're thinking that they're, you know, growing. And it's like this placebo effect, you know. And so that's when they start to believe, oh, you got to work harder. I'm not saying that you don't have to work hard. You do have to. There's like late nights that you have done. I've done too. This guy's done it too. When it comes to like editing or when it comes to doing client work. But one thing the revelation I've learned in terms of business is not only just working smarter, but also trying to get the smartest people around you.
Yeah.
Because they're literally going to grow the business. So yeah, that was something I just wanted to share, just on the top of what you were sharing. But as you start to land the plane for this podcast, how you going, bro? This is like your first proper podcast that you had like in the podcast studio. How you feeling, man? I would love to just get a bit of a check on you.
It's good. Like the setup's really nice. Like aircon.
Big shout out to the Better Media
Nick.
Studio. Make sure you guys look at the Instagram.
If you go outside right now, you'll burn. Like I don't know if it's possible if I can burn any more.
The cigarette burns.
Yeah. But in terms, it's gone really well, man. Like I think the biggest thing is like-minded people. You know, I'm in a room of like-minded people. We're talking about things we're passionate about. Passion doesn't mean anything. It's about putting into movement.
It's more energy,
progress.
More passion.
Right, it's like, I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is pretty much who we are.
Mm.
And people don't know that. Like, we're ex-footy players. Reserve, like not even reserve grade. Literally, we were known. Like, we spoke about this yesterday too.
Yeah.
You're an alpha when you're back as a teenager.
Oh,
playing
bro,
footy.
if you played... Because you went to Paddy's, eh? Yeah.
You did Paddy's?
So, yeah, he went to Paddy's, bro.
You would have been the mega alpha.
Yeah.
The alpha of alphas.
Bro.
Like, everyone knew. You played footy and you were somewhat in
You were the star.
You were the star, man. Like, doesn't matter what school you went to. And we spoke about, like, union and soccer. Like, they're great sports. Don't get me wrong. But in Western Sydney, this is rugby league.
Yeah.
You're at a sports high school. You're at a local high school. And I think, like, the female space is starting to get that too.
Yeah.
They can see, you know, they're the most popular. Whether or not they're already the most popular, you can see it's really cool where footy is. You get that platform, and we can say, like, man, we had a privilege back then.
Yeah, we definitely did.
It was awesome
Yeah.
to see where we are now. If we jump back on the field. Oh, mate.
Bro, Nicky
He's the fittest one.
Yeah, I know, bro.
And he plays Oztag. But, mate, let's go back to St. Mary's days. I'll run rings around all you boys. Run rings around all you boys.
Bro.
Right now, oh, mate.
Yeah,
I'll just
I know.
get in donut rings, bro. Oh, man. Honest, bro. Honest, man.
Nah,
Those
man.
guys, this body.
Yeah, bro. So I just wanted to, just touch on quickly, man. There's actually one question I wanted to ask you, and I think this is really gonna, touch your heart, which is just like any other businessman out there or business, woman or anyone that does entrepreneurship. Like, there's always moments where you want to quit. There's always moments where you're like, you're actually starting to have some thoughts in your mind. I'm not too sure if I want to, keep on doing this, whether it's financially. And a lot of people don't talk about relationally, like in terms of your relationship with your wife, with your partner. And so my question to you, man, is, was there ever a point where you wanted to, just chuck in the towel and be like, yeah, it is what it is. I'm just going to let it go. And if there has been a moment, I'd love to hear your insights on how that was for you. Really?
Never stop S2S.
This is when you know that S2S is on your sleeve, bro.
Never stop S2S.
This is when you know it's it, bro. It's it.
Every reason not to. I just think it all comes back to the support systems.
Yep.
Like, I'm always...
Being surrounded by like-minded people.
Like-minded people, supportive
You have your
people.
support system, yeah.
People that has business advice. Like I say, sometimes we have great conversations. I've got someone that I go to for business specifically, and he's, amazing. Like, it all comes down to what's in the home. When I go home and, our son's there, and sometimes I've got to do some stuff related to the business.
Yep.
My wife is like rock solid. She runs her own shop. A lot of the time she doesn't have to, come home and do all the extra stuff.
Damn.
But having that...
She also runs her own business too. Yeah, so that's really good knowing that you guys both doing similar things.
Completely separate fields, but
Yeah.
same...
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's business. So, you know, we got to
She understands.
She understands big time.
Mm-hmm.
But, super supportive. Like, when I talk supportive, mate, instead of having a day off, she'll come and help out.
Yes.
Like, and
I've
she
seen
works.
her. I've been there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I've seen her. I was like, bro.
She works so hard. And being a parent too, that also has, you know, even more, I wouldn't say complexities. It just makes business another level of difficult,
Yeah.
more challenging. Like the challenges just lay extra. But I can honestly say, I wouldn't take that back. Man, being a parent, like, you get caught up in things and, you know, like if I didn't have Caden, I'm talking 5 years ago, I'd be working on my school stuff before I started coaching. I was just super obsessed. I did like 3 all-nighters in my first year of teaching because I was so like driven to try and make
You're like
the best
highly
lessons.
obsessed.
Yeah, I was like the freaking Michael Jordan Last Dance of like I was so obsessed.
Yeah.
But now that you have a kid, like now that you're a parent, like it's the best thing ever. Like honestly, like I don't say that I've got a great setup in terms of family, supportive family, my wife, but there's nothing more that drives you to want to make sure that you do it your best. Like you want to nail it. Yeah, you get exhausted and things like that, but it forces you to go like, oh, we talk about great ideas and win. What's important now? Boom, you've got to get it done.
Yeah.
You got to go change the nappy. You got to go feed your son. Like, and it's like it folds in well because I was meticulous, like we said, Cooper Cronk. We used to say that word a lot. Like I was that as a player, preparation, everything. So, you know, when I stopped playing and became a parent and then going from parent to running a business, it was really good to know that I was a structured person.
Yeah.
Had to learn sort of how to get out of that structure. But yeah, it really pushed me to try and figure out, okay, how do I compartmentalize everything, time things, be more efficient, meet my duties for everything I need to do. So yeah, I'll never quit. I'd never quit.
Right.
And I have no reason to. So I think if you're doing it for money, you're going to have every reason to quit.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it because you know it's the best thing in your heart to try and put towards, to inspire, whatever it is, if you know deep down that it's something that is of quality and that people want or need, you have to figure out the business journey yourself, but it's going to be something that's going to be a journey where it can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And if, you know, I can't give advice for those who want to quit, but I can just say for those who want to lay good foundations, get the right people on board. Talk to people first. Don't annoy the hell out of people. You pay someone to sit with them and talk to them about business.
Yeah.
Like you literally can't rely on favors. It's not a favor game.
Yeah.
People have their own hard-earned they need to earn themselves. They've got time to invest themselves. Why are they going to invest it in you? You got to really be strategic about how you get your platform set. That's probably a huge piece of advice that landed me where I guess I am today. You know, we talk about, you know, being a player and things like that. I would ask every single coach that I had, every single question I could think of. I was always curious.
Yeah.
And the best piece of advice I always character to yourself doing business, then maybe you just, I don't know. But that's just my own personal experience.
Yep.
But I honestly, truly believe if you're going to play the blame game, whether it's in life or in business or in sport, you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
And that's my bit of advice.
Yeah. There's one thing I've learned about Robert White today, and it's that you got to be highly obsessible on doing what you're wanting to do, whether it's a business, whether it's, you know, that's what I'm getting out of you, bro. Like this whole podcast, not even podcast, but just a relationship that we've had. I'm like, okay, if he doesn't feel like there's been any moments where he wanted to quit, there has to be a heap amount of obsession that you want to get the results that you're wanting. And I think that's applicable in anything that you do, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your business, whether it's you being a coach, whether it's you just being a normal person. I think having that ability to be highly obsessible on what you want, right? Highly obsessed. I want this, and I want to do whatever it takes. It actually reminds me of when I was reading. There was a certain book that I was reading. It was talking about burning your ships, and pretty much it's a story about there was a commander that took out, his his soldiers or his army, and they went out to a certain island, and once they had landed on there, told them to get everything out. So get all the weapons out, get all the food out, and then what he done is he ended up burning ships. And the reason why he did was because he said there's literally no way they were going to go back, but the only way they were going to go is forward. We're literally going to overcome this land, this territory, and in the story they end up doing that. And to make it even more dramatic, they were like highly, like in terms of the army, they were highly at a disadvantage. So they're going against like tens of thousands of people, and you only got like probably like 1,000 people on the ship that they end up bringing in. But it was the fact that they were so obsessed that they were going to get the job done. But not only that, but they got rid of the plan B, and like there was only one way. And that's something that I'm getting out of you, bro, and what you're doing. You're literally looking at S2S as this is the only way, and not only that, but having like that highly, like you're highly obsessed, bro, in everything that you wanting to do. You're wanting to be the best. You're wanting to, you're wanting to ask questions on how you can grow, and that's something I'm getting out of you, man. And that's something I want to push upon you to keep doing. Like keep doing what you're doing, but just remember too that to keep a hold of that, that curiosity, but also stay obsessed, man. Because I'm looking at it now. That's exactly what's keeping you going. So yeah, you're good. He's feeling it.
Yeah, no.
He's feeling it.
Man, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
I can't change that. It's like literally what my genetics are. I just obsess over something I want to get better at, and it just suits. It just suits the fact that I'm around, the people I am, what I do, the pathway I'm on. I couldn't do certain things. I know my limitations.
Yep.
But yeah, just being obsessive is about, eventually you're going to have to break every bit of, being self-conscious about speaking to someone or asking questions or, yeah. I think with every virtue or everything that's positive out there, there's always a negative.
Yeah.
So I'd say with being obsessive, you can sometimes be missing things. So I'd say to have that level of obsession, every strength has a weakness. I'm always like saying that. So what I'd say is that, and I'm always like self-critical, but if you gave me an essay right now, mate, I'd be like through the roof of like, yeah, because I'm obsessive.
Yeah.
But how do you turn that down?
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, I'm having conversations with, like someone about their game, and I just can't stop that conversation. And they're like, I want to get out of it. I'm just like, but wait, like there's more. I just feel like I'm always going to constantly have that within my makeup of my build of who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's come in handy. Like we talk about that viral video, I just, things stick out like anything. And I obsess. I'm like, bang.
Numbers, data.
Bro, it's just all clear. So just, I beeline those things. But pulling back in some areas, that's where it's like, okay, that's the balance to it. So, yeah, out there, everyone, just think about what you're really, really good at. And then what's the counteract to it? What's the weakness to it? For business, that's going to be crucial.
Yeah.
Because that's why we talk about being holistic and all-rounded. You don't want to just be jack of one trade. What do they call it? King of none. I don't know. But yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. And the way that we do it, and this is going to be the culture behind the brand, is we're actually going to, we want you to ask a specific question for our next special guest. Now, before you do that, that'll be happening later on. We've actually got the person, and he's actually in the room. He's actually got a question for you. Do you want to read it or do you want me to read it? I'll read it. So this is Nikki's question that he wants to ask for you, and it's a business question,
Okay.
right? And so the business question is, if you had $100 left to your name, how would you start your business again, or at the start? Like, how would you change it up? Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
If I was to start from zero, there was no S2S, start all over completely again. Yeah, just connect. Like the money in connecting, like this doesn't require much money.
Mm-hmm. So like networking.
Yeah, network.
Mm.
First thing I'd probably spend it on. Probably Josh. No. Hey bro, can I do a 10-minute session? Yeah. So $100 can go, in so many ways. I think the one thing I'd purchase with $100 would be, I would definitely need to have uniform. Because
So
knowing
like,
who I am,
yeah.
if I have the uniform, I'm out and about. People can see me. Because networking is the first thing I'm going to do.
So branding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd chuck it straight on branding because I know like that's what I'd need because I wouldn't know much, in other areas as confidently, but I'd be confident going into networking and, rocking up to, I don't know, meetings and things like that or a game or whatever it is. But, if a coach was to say, hey, come along to my session, and then they could see me and then they see what's this thing on his shirt, and I'd do it that way.
Yeah.
Because that's where I guess I'm mostly attuned to, being able to go down that route.
Networking, branding. That's what I thought. That's hectic. So the question that you're going to ask the next special guest, you're not going to know, guys, because we're going to do that in private. But yeah, bro, thank you so much for jumping on the Behind the Brand. You're the very first special guest. We're so grateful to have you here, bro. But let's say there's people out there that are listened in. You're probably going to have your followers listening too. But we're probably going to have new people coming in. How can they get in contact with you and how can they follow you on your journey?
Yeah, so S2S Sports Australia, that's who we are. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook,
TikTok.
We've got the TikTok now. And yeah, we'll have programs rolling out really, really soon. The current preseason program we're about halfway through.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely have something during the season. So make sure you get in and check out what we're doing. Chuck, is that shirt, man?
Yeah, chuck it too. Here, give me the other one.
Yeah, give us
I
that
know you
other one.
suss it out, bro.
So this is what the packaging looks like.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah. So what you've got in front of you is a S2S shirt. That's the 2023 one. We've got a...
Guys, it smells fresh, bro.
Got that fresh track smell. Well, thanks to the guys at Trax, Aussie Scanlan, such a really, really unique design. Incorporating obviously my Pacifica heritage and the Pacifica heritage in rugby league and the Western Sydney community. We got green, like I've always loved the color green. Represents field, open, outdoor. So yeah, basically if I hold it up, this S2S Sports Australia. So this is our shirt, our training shirt. They're very popular at the moment in our programs. A lot of the girls that are wearing them. But we're going to chuck out 20% off if you use the code S2S 2024. We'll give you 20% off a shirt because I think it looks alright, don't you?
Bro, it's hectic, man.
Trax did really well. Like it's it was quite a journey to try and create that design.
Yeah.
The logo was one thing, but coming up with this design, like I couldn't be more happy. Us coaches have a different base, like we've got a green base with white. But yeah, if you're interested in a shirt, we'll leave that code on for the next month.
Yeah, sweet.
So yeah, if you're keen, jump on board, grab yourself one.
Make sure you guys check it out, S2S. The link will be in the description for those that are watching YouTube and on Spotify. Yeah, the links will be on there too. But yeah, make sure you guys cop a shirt, S2S. Trust me, man, this is probably going to be a lot more expensive later on in the days. So make sure you guys get it now. S2S 2024. That's the code. Make sure you guys check it out. But guys, that's it. That's all we got for this session. Robert, thank you so much, bro, for coming on board. on our first episode of Behind the Brand, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.